Hey, this is Cam from IGN Australia, and with me is the lovely Lucy O'Brien.
Hello, Cam.
And Lucy, you have just unveiled your
My
10
Yep.
favoritist films of all time
Yep.
on the site.
I have, and I'm just gonna say...
Let's run through them from 10 to 1.
It was a really hard decision. And I also did my top 10 games earlier on in the year, and that was a lot easier than top 10 movies. I felt like there was just so much. I mean, there are a lot of games I love too, but I've seen so many movies in my lifetime, and loved so many movies, and it was a really hard.
And I kind of found it quite interesting when you were trying to decide on your number 1 film.
Yes.
Because it was a choice between two very
different
endeavors. I mean, obviously, the difference between Police Academy 1 and Police Academy 2, it's night and day.
Totally.
You know, but how do you choose between? Sorry. What were you choosing
Well,
between?
I was choosing between Jurassic Park and The Exorcist. Now, Jurassic Park has always been my kind of fail-proof, this is my favorite movie of all time. But I decided to mix it up this year because, of course, your favorite movie is whatever it is on any particular day.
Yeah.
So today I decided that my favorite movie is, in fact, The Exorcist on this particular day.
Right.
And so I really want to talk about The Exorcist.
On this particular day, it's The Exorcist, and then you're going to lock that in on the site forevermore.
Forever. It will define me.
That is very much the nature of films, though, is that,
Totally.
there might be hundreds of films you love.
Yeah.
And it depends on your mood. So let's just, for argument's sake, say that I'm a complete heathen and have never seen The Exorcist.
Right.
Why would I want to watch it?
Well, I'll give you a little bit of background as to my first viewing of it, because I felt that really affected sort of the way that I relate to it now. So I was a big horror fan as a little kid, which was kind of problematic because obviously there are only so many films that horror films a 10-year-old can see. But my parents were quite relaxed because my dad's a big horror fan as well, and they were quite relaxed about it. So Dad would let me see PG-13, the occasional R16, because he was a good dude like that. But the one film he said I was totally not allowed to see at any cost was The Exorcist, because he said it was just the most terrifying thing he's ever seen. Mum said the same thing.
Well, that's just an endorsement right there.
Absolutely. So of course I became obsessed with it. I remember sort of dwelling over the VHS cover at the video store and just like reading the, and just getting really into just being kind of into it, but not being able to see it. And it was on TV one night, so I stayed up late. This was probably when I was 12 now. I stayed up late and watched it. Without my parents knowing, and it was traumatizing. it was really traumatizing because it's a traumatizing film, and at that age, some of the themes went over my head a little bit. Obviously, it's quite a shocking film as it stands. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know what The Exorcist is about, it's about a demon possession of a little girl. So that's really disturbing. It's got a lot of disturbing imagery. But I loved it. I thought it was incredible, and it affected me in this kind of bizarrely profound way because, of course, it's not just about a demon. It's not just a sort of a horror film for horror's sake. It's about faith and religion. And I'm not a spiritual person. But when I was younger, it took me a while. I was still kind of figuring that out. And yeah, I just thought it was a really sort of profound film as well. And subsequently, as I've grown older, I've watched it many, many more times. And there are things in it that still really, that I've sort of picked up through subsequent
Well, your relationship
screenings.
with the film would change a great deal as you mature and you're more worldly and you have a different understanding of things. Absolutely.
And I mean, even on its most basic level, The Exorcist is just a brilliantly orchestrated horror film. I mean, it's so frightening because you know what's coming. I mean, I think all the best horror films manage that sense of dread really well. And the worst ones are just the ones that show you everything up front. And the ones that, so The Exorcist has this incredibly slow build-up. And it's just these little slight things at the beginning that mean something, but you don't know what it is. Like, for example, the family starts hearing things in the attic, and they think it's rats.
Right.
But Ellen Burstyn's like, oh, we've got rats, and the caretaker's like, no, there are no rats. There are no rats. And of course, that is just some creepy, strange phenomenon that's And it builds up, and of course it reaches this like point of absolute terror. I mean, there is a scene in The Exorcist, one of the most, I put together a couple of years ago, I put together like the 25 most horrifying movie moments in horror or whatever. And number one was the Exorcist crucifix scene. Because I think that there has actually not been a more disturbing, shocking scene in horror, in mainstream horror. Like, I know there's a lot of dodgy stuff underground, but in mainstream horror, I can't recall a scene that is just so unbelievably, it really goes there.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, it as I was saying, it does just manage this beautiful slow build, that it sort of all happens, and then it becomes this like incredible war between good and evil. You know, it climaxes in this incredible, like this powerful war, and the ending, you know, I don't want to spoil anything, but the ending is just so heartbreaking. And it's shot beautifully too. I mean, as you can see behind here, like it's a beautiful, beautiful, like the way that Friedkin uses lighting. It's a gorgeous looking film as well. And, you know, he splices in those little subliminal images, which I really dig, because I like that kind of stuff.
So you watch it to unwind?
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I watch it to unwind. But no, it's like, it's
interesting having a film like that you have watched so many times, because I tend to avoid very harrowing experiences.
Yeah.
Because I watch it once and I get a lot out of it. I'm like, I don't really want to go back there.
I do understand that.
I guess you're a horror person.
I do.
You know?
I think part of the reason that I love horror so much is because it was so deeply entrenched in my childhood.
Yeah.
And so therefore, I don't know if any of
you
watching this feel the same way, but I therefore associate comfort with horror films, which is bizarre. I mean, The Shining is another one of my favorite films, and I
think you were watching more classical horror, because I was watching like Nightmare on Elm Street and that kind of stuff.
Right, so more pulpy 80s
more
stuff.
pulpy kind of stuff, and I really love that too, but it was much more about the gore. Than it was the actual kind of craft of horror.
Yeah.
And I was really young at that stage as well, so.
Totally, and I do have my dad to thank for his good taste.
Shout out.
Because he was the one who, you know, introduced me to these films, and even though he said I couldn't watch this one, afterwards we've had many a discussion about it. But you know, he's the one who said, I'm going to introduce you to good horror, to the horror that I love.
Yep.
You know, so he introduced me to The Evil Dead, Deliverance, Jaws, all those classics.
Yep.
And, you know, I'm really grateful to him for that. And it's one of the reasons why I keep coming back to horror and fantastic horror movies like The Exorcist.
Yeah, see, my dad he loves Sister Act. It's his favorite film of all time. We don't get along that well. You know, I got nothing against the film, but I don't really know why he keeps going back to it.
Yeah, it's fair enough. It's fair enough. It's a little dated now, that one, hasn't it? Yeah.
Well, it's timeless, but.
Anyway, so yeah, that's basically the reason that I love The Exorcist. I just think it's got everything that I could possibly want in a horror film, and it's also got fantastic performances. And I was really fortunate enough to attend a screening not so long ago, hosted by Linda Blair, of course, who played Reagan, and that was something else. Like, it was just amazing, sort of seeing her embrace it, because that is a very, very tough role for a young child. And she had to do a lot of dodgy, horrible things. And it was if any of you guys haven't read any of the like behind the scenes stuff on The Exorcist, it is worth reading up on, because it is really, really, it was a traumatic shoot.
Right.
And there's a lot of dark stories, and I've read them all.
The opposite of Jurassic Park.
Kind of the opposite of Jurassic
Okay.
Park. But yeah, that's basically it. If you haven't watched The Exorcist, please do, unless you're under 16.
And tweet at Lucy and tell her how much you loved it.
Absolutely.
Or how much you were offended as a religious person.
All right, that's it.
All right, thanks, Lucy.
Thanks, Cam.
See ya.
Take care.